Hello. We want to look at another area in our family development course, and this is to do with marital satisfaction. We have discussed marriage extensively, but the topic of marital satisfaction we are yet to discuss. The extent to which marriage fulfills its functions is determined by the level of satisfaction members of a marital union feel or experience. This is why a discussion on marital satisfaction becomes a critical component of appreciating what marriage is and the role it plays in our society. To this extent, therefore, we want to look at marital satisfaction first by understanding what it is, and then secondly, by looking at what constitutes marital satisfaction. In other words, the components or factors that affect marital satisfaction. So I want to welcome you all to this discussion. We begin by understanding of what marital satisfaction is. And I want to say that marital satisfaction, first, is a subjective evaluation of a person's feelings and thoughts about their marriage, and which reflects the level of contentment and fulfillment they experience within their relationship. When we look at that definition, it is simply reminding us that satisfaction is based on an individual. That is why it is subjective. Subjective means it is based on what a person feels. Therefore, we do not have objective measures of marital satisfaction. In other words, what makes one individual satisfied in one marriage might not be the same as what makes an individual satisfied in another marriage. So, satisfaction in marriage is uniquely experienced by the partners in that particular marriage. We can also define marital satisfaction as a mental state that reflects the perceived benefits and costs of marriage to a particular partner. That is, when the costs of marriage, when more costs in a marriage is inflicted on a person, the person feels dissatisfied. And when the cost is less, it means the person is satisfied. Marital satisfaction is an important area because it's a key indicator of the relationship quality and can also influence various aspects of a couple's lives, such as physical and mental health, and even parental skills. In other words, if we are satisfied in marriage, we are likely to have a better physical and mental health. And also, we also like to develop better parenting skills because of that satisfaction. Otherwise, where satisfaction is lacking, we are likely to remain physically and mentally disturbed or unhealthy. And also, the chaos that ensue in such a marriage might not give parents ample time to learn and develop skills that is essential in proper upbringing of the children. So, it's an important indicator and a key to successful marital union. Various scholars have alluded to what constitutes a satisfying marriage. And Fowlers and Olson in particular have identified certain criteria or factors that can be used as a basis of affirming whether or not a marital union is experiencing satisfaction. So I want us now to turn our attention to the components, the dimensions, or simply what we call factors that affect marital satisfaction. One of the components or factors that affect marital satisfaction is the personality of the spouses. In other words, how satisfied a person is with his or her marriage is related to, in part, personality characteristics of his or her spouse. And there are several dimensions, about 5, that we use to classify individual personalities. One is the dominance versus submissiveness, warm versus cold, trusting versus suspicious, reliable versus undependable, and emotional stability versus temperamental. We all want, in many cases, we can have spouses that are dominant or some that are submissive. It is not all possible that it should not be assumed that all submissive partners lead submission in itself is a symbol of satisfaction. There are some partners that would wish to have a dominant partner or a submissive partner. So depending on what suits a given couple, there are instances where dominance leads to satisfaction. There are also instances where it leads to dissatisfaction. The same case with submissiveness. Warm versus cold. Indeed, we all wish to have warm, loving, and caring partners. That can indeed lead to satisfaction. Unlike cases where the partner is cold, is uncaring, is unloving, and does not care about the plight and the welfare of the other partner and the children, that indeed can lead to dissatisfaction. We have also trusting versus suspiciousness. We all want our partners to trust that what we're doing in good faith and that we are up to no bad. But there are also cases where partners are quite suspicious. Every move that a partner makes, the other partner makes, is treated with suspicion, is scalded, and the process, that one creates dissatisfaction. We also wish to have partners that are reliable, one that keep their promises, they keep their word, they remain committed to what's agreed upon, and they rarely go outside what their promises. So reliability enhances satisfaction. Emotional stability is also important because partners who are temperamental, they become unreliable, they become unpredictable, and therefore we wish to have partners that are stable emotionally, and that emotional stability can create hope, can create understanding, and also can help in terms of maintaining a balanced discussion and a balanced relationship in a marital union. So in terms of these personalities, I would then wish to observe that personalities of submission, of warmth, trust, reliability, and emotional stability can lead to marital satisfaction. However, personalities of dominance, of coldness, of suspiciousness or suspicion, of undependability, and of temperamentality are detrimental to a marital union. Like we noted earlier, marital dissatisfaction in many cases is related to spouse's emotional stability, and also lack of openness. Therefore, the personality characteristics of each spouse contributes greatly to the relationship, culminating in satisfying or dissatisfying marriage, depending on the kind of a personality that is being exhibited. So we need to carefully take time and understand the personality of our spouses, because certain personalities undermine stability and therefore satisfaction in marriage, but others enhances satisfaction. So a careful understanding of the kind of person in terms of the personality that we have as partners or as our spouses is quite critical. The other important component or factor that contributes to satisfaction in marriage is that one of sexual relationships. This is concerned with spouses' attitude towards sexual activity, sexual behavior, loyalty, pregnancy planning, and how they express their affection for one another. Marital satisfaction is negatively affected by what we call mate guarding behaviors. Mate guarding behaviors include monopolizing the partner's time, threatening or punishing infidelity, and being emotionally manipulative. Being unfaithful also causes problems in marriage, as it raises issues of honesty and trust between the partners, as well as commitment and love. And marital satisfaction is often negatively related to the likelihood that a spouse will be unfaithfulness. What kind of attitude do partners have towards sex, sexual activity, sexual behavior, issues of loyalty in marriage? They become quite important. Unfaithfulness undoubtedly leads to dissatisfaction, and also engaging in mate guarding behaviors, such as monopolizing a partner's time, that is, insisting on each time where the partner is without giving the partner the freedom also to interact with social friends, can also lead to dissatisfaction. Issues of infidelity and also being emotionally manipulative, all these can contribute to marital dissatisfaction. And therefore, we need to have an atmosphere where partners have a favorable attitude towards sex and sexual behavior. They are loyal. They discuss collectively about pregnancy planning, and also they express affection towards each other. Otherwise, a marital union where people tend to have negative attitude towards sex and also sexual behavior towards each other, people are disloyal, pregnancy is never discussed collectively, and therefore it's a decision of one person, and the person who wants to impose it on the other person. All of these can lead to dissatisfaction in our marital union, and therefore it needs to be looked at very, very carefully. The other important component of marital satisfaction is what we call the mate value. How much do you value your mate? How much do you value your partner? And by mate value, we refer to the extent to which a person appreciates and values partner's physical attractiveness, intelligence, and personality. And marital satisfaction is positively affected by mate value, such that the higher the marital value, the higher the marital satisfaction, and vice versa. And it has also been empirically established that unfaithfulness is common in marriages where marital value is low. For example, when a husband is perceived as having a higher marital value than his wife, he is more likely to be unfaithful to their marriage. Let me emphasize one important issue here, that how much you value and appreciate your partner in terms of their physical look, in terms of their intelligence, and in terms of their personality has the greatest effect on marital satisfaction. If we perceive or we value our partners as physically attractive, as intelligent, and as having a good personality, we are likely to value them highly. On the other hand, if we perceive our partners as not physically attractive, in other words, ugly, as not intelligent, and as having a poor personality, then the end result of that is that we are going to value them lowly. It has been established through several studies that where partners value where couples value their partners highly, or rather, in other words, where there is high marital value, the level of satisfaction is high. And where the marital value is low, then the level of satisfaction is going to be low. And that one, because people who do not value their partners, they are likely to engage in activities or behaviors that undermine the authority and the position of the partner in marriage. Like for instance, we have said a husband that has low marital value for his wife is likely to become unfaithful. And I think the case is also for the woman. If the woman considers that the man is not physically attractive, is not intelligent, and does not have admirable personality, temptation of cheating when they are approached by men who are physically attractive and who are intelligent and have warm personality is quite high. So marital value is a very, very important factor in terms of how people move forward. The other important component or factor that contributes to marital satisfaction is to do with children and parenting. We need to observe that the presence of children in a marriage has the potential of increasing the stability and marital satisfaction, especially in societies that still value reproduction as a primary purpose of marriage. However, the presence of children has a potential of decreasing marital satisfaction in the following manner. For example, reduced intimacy and time. That is, the arrival of a child can lead to a decrease in couple time and intimacy, since energy and focus shifts towards childcare. Again, increased stress and conflict is also likely to be a possible factor that arises because of the presence of children in a marriage. And that parenthood can be a stressful period, leading to increased conflict and arguments, especially regarding childcare responsibilities and parenting styles. Quite a lot of time, we have had cases both in formal and informal adjudication bodies of partners accusing each other of not playing their rightful role in childcare. And many times, inability, whether intentionally or otherwise, to take care of the children can be a major cause of discontent in a marital union. And it can lead to stress, it can lead to conflict, and overall, it can lead to a feeling of discontent and therefore dissatisfaction in marriage. Otherwise, a family where each and every parent play their rightful role in terms of child upbringing and parenting, possibility of marital satisfaction becomes quite high. Then there's also the issue of equalitarian roles. This focuses on how each spouse reacts to their division of roles within their family and marriage. We noted earlier, or in the other lecture, that sometimes the way we play our role in marriage can actually be challenging, especially under the family development cycle. Because sometimes we become parents, but that parenthood is not accompanied with appropriate adjustments in terms of our roles. Sometimes we marry when we are not yet fully prepared about our responsibilities. And in such cases, therefore, we fail to appreciate what exactly our role is and what exactly we need to do to fulfill those roles. So where it becomes apparent that we are not playing our rightful role in marriage, it can actually create conflict and division and a sense of dissatisfaction in marriage. The other issue that childbearing can bring, which if not properly handled, can lead to dissatisfaction in marriage, is the financial strain. That is, the costs associated with raising children can put a strain on a couple's finances, leading to further stress and conflicts. Children need shelter, they need clothing, they need food, they need education, they need medical care, they need entertainment, and they need other things. It can be a huge financial strain on ourselves if these roles are not properly handled. And in the process, it might lead to dissatisfaction in marriage. If proper planning and preparation was not done in terms of our roles, like we observed earlier, then the moment we fail to fully adjust and play our rightful role in these marriages, then the potential for that to cause conflict becomes quite huge and apparent. The other issue that is important and which, if properly executed, can lead to satisfaction in marriage, and if not handled well, can lead to the opposite result, is the issue of communication. And by communication in this context, we mean how comfortable spouses are with sharing information shown by the attitudes and affection. There are certain things that need to be observed as constituting important elements of communication in marriage. Communication in marriage or the intimate relationship is not the same as the general communication. There are certain things that go with it and which, if properly handled, can enhance or cultivate an atmosphere that enhances satisfaction in marriage. One of them is open and honest communication, and therefore effective communication in an intimate relationship or in marriage, including both verbal and nonverbal cues, is crucial for building a strong and satisfying relationship. All our plans we need to lay bare. All our communication needs to be laid bare. Otherwise, secretive and dishonest communication has the potential of creating a barrier, psychological barrier, between partners, and in the process, that barrier will breed suspicion and will breed discontent, and therefore dissatisfaction in our marital unions. We have seen many cases, marriages being affected by social media posts, WhatsApp communication, among other things. The discovery of such communication can lead to discontent in our marital relationships. We have seen instances, for instance, where individuals who are married and have children declare their status in their social media as single, when in actual sense they are married. Indeed, if a partner discovers that you have described your status as single, when in actual sense you're married, it has a potential of causing dissatisfaction and a feeling of lack of commitment on the part of the partner. We also need active listening, that is, paying attention and understanding your partner's perspective. It's also essential for resolving conflicts and building intimacy. Fine, it's not always that one party is correct. You may be correct. You might have had the original idea to do something, but it is equally important that during communication, people remain active, people remain open, and they ensure that whatever each party is given time to explain their position, to understand what is going on, and to ask questions for clarification. So we need to listen actively, and where there is active listening, without domination, without intimidation, then it is possible for such marriages, for partners to feel appreciative of each other, and that can lead to marital satisfaction. Then we also need, through communication, to acquire and develop conflict resolution skills. And therefore, learning how to address disagreements constructively and find solutions together also contributes to maintaining marital satisfaction. Any union, including marriage, have the potential of conflicts occurring from time to time. Indeed, when we teach conflict, we say that conflict, just like crime, they are inevitable. They are part and parcel of humanity. And what matters is the ability of human beings, of groups and unions, to ensure that they are maintained at levels that do not adversely affect the progress of society. So the only way of maintaining them to levels that are minimal and levels that are not destructive is by learning on how to address them wherever they occur. They'll always come, but the most important thing is, have we acquired the skills, the experience, and the ability to learn to manage those conflicts, to address those concerns without necessarily generating additional conflicts, so that we have to stop at all levels conflicts from graduating into violence by addressing issues in a tactful, constructive manner to the satisfaction of partners concerned. So, couples who communicate well are better able to understand each other's needs and resolve conflicts. And where conflicts are resolved, there's a feeling of satisfaction, there's a feeling of togetherness. And that's why we say the manner in which communication is structured in the family, in a marital union, has the potential of either preventing or exacerbating a conflict, disagreement, and other aspects that ordinarily would undermine the marital union. So conflict is a major component of marital dissatisfaction, and it has to be addressed carefully and in a manner that relates well with the members of a given marital union. The other important component is financial management, and this addresses spouses' spending patterns, financial decision making, and other financial issues. Managing finance effectively and having open communication about money matters can reduce stress and improve marital satisfaction. And having shared financial goals and working towards them together can foster a sense of teamwork and accomplishment. Financial management is important because how we manage our finances might determine the quality of life that we lead, might determine whether, as parents, we are fulfilling our roles to our children by enabling them to have good shelter, have access to adequate and nutritious food, and also have clothing, in addition to taking them to school and taking care of their medication as and when they fall sick. All these become important that requires us to have a proper financial management. Otherwise, financial wastages by any partner have the potential of creating discontent in a marital relationship. Whether it is the man or the woman that does not manage family resources well, it can create a sense of destruction. We need families that utilizes the financial resources they have in terms of addressing the needs of the family and also investing in areas that safeguards the financial interests of the family in future. As children grow, they might want to go to high school, they might want to go to colleges. So anytime that we get finances, we need to think about that. And therefore, from time to time, we need to take savings that becomes handy when they grow up. So financial management is a major component. And indeed, a lot of families have disagreed or separations or even divorce have occurred, not because people are poor, but because the finances of the family are not properly being used or utilized in areas that both couples consider as essential for the physical, emotional, and social health of a particular family. So financial management is key. Lack of money can create dissatisfaction. But again, the presence of money, if not properly utilized, can also create dissatisfaction. And therefore, prudence, focus, and consultation in financial management is key in maintaining a fulfilling and satisfying marital union. The other issue that needs to be looked at carefully is the influence of relatives and friends. What impact do they have in a marital union? And so members of the extended family, the relatives and friends, also affect marital satisfaction in many ways. One of them, we have what we call family influence and boundaries. Family members, especially parents, can exert influence on marital decisions and dynamics, and sometimes leading to challenges in establishing healthy boundaries. The other one is support and conflicts. Family can provide crucial support during challenging times, but can also become a source of conflict if they are too involved or if there are unresolved issues. The other issue that can also have a dimension and affect the marital satisfaction in a marital union are those to deal with cultural and societal norms. And therefore, these norms surrounding marriage and family can also influence marital expectations and behaviors, potentially leading to cultural clashes or misunderstanding. And lastly, the economic and practical considerations. Family dynamics can also impact economic and practical aspects of marriage, such as financial support, child care, or household responsibilities. The influence of relatives is key. What role do parents-in-law have? What roles do siblings to the either side have? And how can they impact a marital union and therefore contribute to marital satisfaction or dissatisfaction? We also know issues where friends have stooped too low to the extent of creating conflicts and divisions in marital unions. We have also seen cases where relatives have also supported unions and therefore contributed to a better understanding and support in a marital union, but also instances where their influence have been negative and therefore contributed negatively to the stability of marital unions. So relatives and friends can actually undermine or enhance marital relationships. So it is an important factor that also needs to be considered, because if not properly considered, then it has the potential of undermining the institution of marriage and creating marital dissatisfaction. The last thing that we want to look at is religious orientation of the spouses, and therefore their attitudes toward religious acts and beliefs. And we know that religious practices such as prayers might increase unity in a marital relationship. And spouses who are religious, they also tend to criticize their partners less and show more affection for their partners. Criticism is good, but research has shown that those who are highly religious, they are well-mannered, or they are measured in their criticism, so that they are not too much in terms of finding faults on their partners. And highly true religious leaders, couples, are also likely to avoid behaviors that could be detrimental to a marriage. For example, spousal neglect. We know that the neglect of a spouse can also lead to marital dysfunction, intimate partner violence, infidelity, among others. All these are also important in terms of solidifying unity and cementing intimacy in a marital relationship. Some religious teachings emphasize the need for members of the family to be responsible to each partner. And therefore, religious practices where such values are emphasized, spouses are likely to be less neglectful. They are likely to be lesser cases of intimate partner violence, and also cases of infidelity. Neglect, intimate partner violence, and infidelity, as we have noted earlier, can lead to marital dissatisfaction. So if we're in a religious orientation, religious practice, where these virtues, where these practices are highly abhorred and members are discouraged from engaging in them, and in practice, partners take cue of such teachings and practice them in their families, so that they are not neglectful, they don't engage in intimate partner violence, and they are also not unfaithful. That means, therefore, that such teachings can help in enhancing marital satisfaction. But of course, the flip side of this is that such religious activities might also be detrimental to marital satisfaction, especially cases where a partner tends to give religious commitment greater prominence than the family. They spend so much time and days outside the family because they engage in religious activities. This can also discourage, or rather make one partner dissatisfied, and in the process create marital dissatisfaction. So these are some of the critical factors that research has shown to be useful in discussing and understanding what constitutes a marital satisfaction. I want to thank you again for your time and ask you to note down anything that you believe requires more attention and discussion. Thank you so much.